Welcome back to the Student Hub Live Refreshers Orientation event for the Faculty of Business and Law at the Open University. In this session, we're going to focus on what business and law students should know. Now, that's a very big question. So this is all a very personal and subjective thing, and I think we can't answer too categorically, but I'm delighted to have Stephanie Stubbins and also Matt Porterfield, who are both OU students. And I'm going to ask about your first year of study, because we've got a lot of people out there who are super excited and ever so slightly petrified about the journey that they're about to embark on. So can I invite you to take a moment to think back about how you felt when you first started your studies?
I think I had a mixture of excitement, because it was something I'd thought about doing for a long time. I felt a little bit overwhelmed because I knew there was a lot of work ahead and it was all new for me. And I just wanted to know how to study, I suppose. That was my main concern, was academic study.
Yeah. What about you, Matt?
It was a mixture of worry and excitement, because I hadn't studied formally for a very long time, and I just didn't know if I had the capacity, the intellectual capacity to do a degree. But excitement because I missed the opportunity of going to university when I was a teenager, and now I was joining a real university.
Brilliant, excellent. And were you okay?
I was absolutely fine. I'd done a few of the MOOCs, you know, the
massive open online courses, yeah.
courses, but they weren't very challenging. Whereas W101, which is the first module I did, is such a gentle introduction to university study. I found it actually very easy and enjoyable.
Excellent. All right. Now, so following on from that, what would you tell yourself then when you started studying that you know now? What one piece of advice would your current self give your student self?
I think I'd probably tell myself to not panic, get yourself organised, get your study space sorted, get your calendar ready, organise your study time so that you can fit it around anything else, and just take your studies bit by bit, break everything up, and just look at what you've got to do that week and not worry about the whole of the module or the whole of the degree. And
is that something you're saying with hindsight of what you know now, or was that something that you experienced at the time that you think, oh, I'd do it entirely differently? I think part of the overwhelming feeling was because I was thinking about the whole thing and whether I could actually achieve a degree. Yeah. But I learnt on my first module, B100, about breaking up each week's task to motivate myself and to help me get through the work. But at the beginning, I just thought the whole thing was really hard to get used to doing, because I hadn't studied for 30 years, so it was a learning curve for me. But if I hadn't panicked so much at the beginning, I probably would have approached it slightly differently. Yeah. And now I'm just starting my level 3 modules. I'm feeling quite focused and excited. Brilliant. What about you, Matt?
Well, if it's lessons learned, it's definitely use the tutor feedback which you get. When you do a TMA, the tutor returns it with feedback, because I was doing law, and the first 4 TMAs I did, I got the referencing wrong every single time. It was only after I actually started following the tutor's advice and going, he was directing me to the OU library, which tells you all about referencing. And it was only after I did that TMA 05, no problem with the referencing.
Brilliant, yeah. But why didn't you follow the advice early on then?
I was getting good enough scores, right. Which is probably a danger. I was looking at it and thinking, that's a good score. Yeah. I wasn't worried about changing anything I was doing.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of students are anxious about referencing because it's a thing you do at university. It's very important in law, though, to get the referencing right.
It's vital in law, and of course, there will be a change in the referencing next year. But it's not something students have to worry about this year.
Absolutely not. No, let's focus on the positives and see what everyone had to say. We've been asking everyone what they're most excited about. So let's see if any of their suggestions echo with you.
Learning is the key word here, but there are lots of other things here, like no exam in U116, learning at my own pace, a black cap and gown, I love that, progressing, marketing, feedback, last level 1 module, improving my skills, planning TMAs, knowing my course mates, saying I did it, achieving goals, earning a degree, opportunities, the subjects being inspired, starting B100 face-to-face, feeling proud, increasing knowledge, learning skills, learning something, gaining deeper understanding, learning at my own pace, new beginnings, live sessions, day schools, developing myself. Oh gosh, there's dinner. Yeah. Don't forget to eat. It's very important. So there's lots and lots of things there that people are excited about, both in terms of the potential that's there for the future, but also changes within the self.
Yeah, I saw that someone's excited about assignments.
Yeah.
Which is good. It's a good way to approach the module, is to focus on each assignment. I think the biggest excitement for me was my family, and the pride that they've got in everything I've been doing. So.
Yeah. They're also excited though about a banana pizza. What's going on?
Well, we've just diverted a little bit. It started with a debate about whether or not we should have pineapple on pizza. Unfortunately, I might not be liked with some people because I'm not a fan of that at all.
No, me neither.
I think I'm with Victoria. Vegetarian pizza, egg on top, sounds quite good. And yes, we're having pizza a la banana, according to Michael and Jessica. I'm not too sure about banana on pizza, but what do our guests think? Pineapple or no pineapple?
Definitely no pineapple for me. Victoria's made a nice comment. She said that this chat room makes her feel like she's a student in a bar chatting with friends. So I thought that was really nice. But we did have a question that I'm going to put to you, Matt. I have registered for the open degree with intentions of doing part law and part business. If I enjoyed the law part and wanted to carry on, could I do this and potentially go forward to become a barrister?
Well, so far as I know, you can change. But that's the beauty of the Open University, that you have the flexibility. Once you've got a module, you've got that module, and then you can change your pathways. But I would always say, talk to first of all, your tutor at the moment, but then to SST, Student Support Team.
Yeah, because the law degree is quite structured, and I think when you start, people pretty much start at the same sort of level, but you might sort of say, oh, I'm going to do this qualification, I'm going to do an open degree, and you're doing W101, and that's the same as somebody on a law degree qualification who's also doing W101. So I guess you're both doing the same thing, and you can change the sort of direction of your qualification officially by speaking to the student support team, but it's important to get that structure in place. So if you go and do a business module as well, that may not count if you just want an exclusive law degree.
Actually, in my first year, I actually did a social science degree because the law degree wasn't actually ready for presentation. But that all counted towards the degree I got in the end, the LLB.
Yeah, and we've got students here who've also credit transferred, and so they're hopping in at level 3 and they've studied elsewhere, and maybe they're just, topping something up also.
We've also had a really good question. I think everybody worries about this is, okay, so the start date of my module is the 5th of October, but how do I know when to start or what to do or where to go?
I had a bit of experience with this, which I'm slightly embarrassed about. I remember my first ever module. On the start date, I thought something would happen. So I was just sitting there. I thought someone would come and see me or something would happen. And then I realised I just had to start all myself and get acquainted with the materials and speak to my tutor as well.
Yeah, so I think that's the time that you can go on to Student Home again, and then your materials become available. You can look at what assessments you have. Some modules will let you see the first assessment quite early. Other modules will let you see all of the assessments quite early. It just depends on the module that you're on. So yes, so there's no magical bell or wand or something that happens, which would be a nice. But yes, go onto the website and have a search.
But if you're really unsure about just what do I do to start, that's a great time to contact your tutor or contact the student support team as well.
Everyone's so lovely. I think that's the thing, is that no matter what you've done before, everybody's nervous. And everybody's so lovely and willing to help, so definitely ask. We've had quite a few people express, Sarah and Susan, referencing, a bit nervous about referencing and don't even know where to start with it.
Did you have a problem with referencing?
I didn't, because I did the library training.
Yeah.
So if you go onto the library website, there's online training sessions, and they helped me get used to referencing. But there's also a PDF download of OU Harvard, and I know that the new referencing system is actually easier. So when you hit that referencing system, it's going to be easier. So, but with B100, they introduce you to referencing bit by bit. So.
Did you feel confident? Because sometimes, you know, there's the actual format of the referencing, like what order to put various things in. But there's also the when to reference question as well. What did the library training tell you about that?
If you're using anything external, you need to source it, you need to reference. If you're using any of the module material, you need to reference it. Anything that isn't yours, you need to reference. And even if you're putting something in your own words, if you've got that knowledge from somewhere, you reference it. So I learnt really well on B122, which is, I don't think it's a module now, but it was an introduction to retail module, and it had loads of referencing because we had to do a lot of external research. But the more you use it, the easier it becomes, and it's not such a big deal once you hit level 2 and level 3.
Yeah, I would just say that the reason for referencing is almost more important than getting the comma in the right place or which bit should be in italics.
No, it is. It's really, really important. So if you'd like to find out more, HA will put a link in the chat to the library events, and you can find out when they've got these fab sessions in Adobe Connect, which is the tutorial platform. You can go and log on there and find out. And there's also other informational ways of accessing that. But the important thing at level 1 is to have a go at it, try and acknowledge your sources, and then eventually you get the hang of it through training, through feedback from your tutor, so you can then put it into place. But it is common to feel anxious about it because, as we said earlier, it is a thing you do at university. Anything else, Michelle?
Yes, absolutely. So we also had a question here around, not a question, but a comment, that finding the OU website itself overwhelming when you first start out. So I don't know, Steph or Matt, how you felt when you first started out.
I just kept going in there. I kept going in and looking around, and I wrote like paths to things. So I'd write what I clicked on, and I'd make a little arrow and write what I clicked on. So if I wanted to go back and find something I'd found that was really useful, I could find it quick. And then you get used to it once you start using the different areas. The main area you need to get used to is your module website. And if you follow the calendar, the study planner, it directs you to where you need to be. So if as long as you can find your study planner, you can find everything else.
I mean, the good and bad thing about being an OU student is that you have access to so many resources and areas of support, like the library, the careers and employability service, and so much more, that it can be very easy to sort of end up on some sort of website and rabbit hole and getting more and more interested in something that you shouldn't really be focusing on because it's assignment week.
Definitely.
I think the tip I would give is find out where your TMAs are early, have a look at them. That means that as you're studying, going through the study planner, you know what you're aiming for.
Yeah, you can focus your reading.
Yeah.
Michelle?
Well, Michael would like to know if there happens to be an apple on the shelf behind Matt.
Yes. That's easy. Next.
He might like to know why there's an apple on the shelf.
Oh, well, yeah, it's a funny old thing. We had this... So earlier in the week, we had this hierarchy of needs, and we were thinking about things that OU students really need, but they needed them so much, they've been taking them away as well. One of the things was healthy food, and it was an apple. Other things that have since disappeared included lemon meringue pies, brownies, chocolate, tea, coffee, and there's a fab date night jar in there with some lollipop sticks full of fun activities, which we had another idea for, which I've forgotten about, actually. Anyway, I'm sure HA will remember that. And also some marker pens and stationery have been very popular. All the stationery's gone.
I can't tell you where that lemon meringue pie went. I have absolutely no idea.
It's a mystery.
It is a mystery. I'd like just to highlight Sarah's great study tip. She said, in previous studies, I found it helpful to keep a card box with references written out of the books I used in the format that should be. So if I use them on an assignment, then I could just pull them out and have all the formatting already. And a great question from Nathan, and a couple of other people asked this, would like to know what our guests think about getting work experience or volunteer experience while study, if there's any options they know about or any routes they can follow.
So I've gained volunteering experience through the Students' Association, and there's loads of different opportunities, one-off trips to campus, online opportunities as well, so you could do archiving, there's all different ones, isn't there? If you look on oustudents.com, you'll be able to have a look at the volunteering area.
Well, the first one I did was helping at a graduation ceremony, and then the second one was actually attending our biannual conference, which will be next year. The Student Association has a big conference every second year, and I have to say that's probably when I met people like Steph, who soon gets you involved in everything else.
But there's also opportunities to come to campus with the OU as well. There's workshops and focus groups. Just keep an eye out on your student home for opportunities that pop up there as well.
Brilliant. So let's talk about some of those opportunities as well, Steph, because you're both involved with the association, the Open University Students Association, and there are a range of ways that students can be represented within that.
Yes, so I'm Deputy President of the Students Association, so I'm on the student leadership team with Matt. Matt's our Faculty of Business and Law faculty rep, and there's about 20 students on this executive, and we represent your student voice. We appear on committees and in forums, and we put the student voice forward. We've also got central committee reps. Do you want to tell them about
Most
them?
important, yes, I would say the central committee reps, of course, shortened to CCR, as everything's shortened to an acronym, but they're the people that actually sit on the various academic committees of the university, like the boards of studies that would be for undergraduate business, undergraduate law, postgraduate. So we'll have it's actually 3 students, I think it is, Steph, on each of those boards of studies, and they'll represent the student voice and also write a report so the rest of the student body knows what's going on that particular committee.
Brilliant. Now, you've been talking about volunteering opportunities within the association and within Open University, but our Careers and Employability Service, if you go from your student homepage to their website, there's an opportunities hub, and they work with lots of other employers to offer both paid for and unpaid for opportunities. And there's a whole host of ways that they can help you if you're interested in volunteering. So there's never too early a time to make contact with them.
There's 2 great questions which come up, which I actually know the answers to. One
just
of them,
showing off.
Is that why you've chosen them then, HJ?
But the 2 questions centre around actually going to court and listening to cases. In most courts, there's an open public gallery where you can actually go to. So when I was in school, I actually had a trip to the Old Bailey and saw a case about a car crash. So it is open to anyone. Even things like county council meetings, they're open. You can attend them because they do deal with points of local law, which is really interesting. So if you want to get that kind of experience, it's a great opportunity. A great question came up from Christina earlier, which I think Stephanie could probably help us with. She wants to get an idea of what her exams on her module may look like. Is there anything that the Student Association offer for that?
So if you go onto the OU Students Association website, you can look on in the shop, and we can send out the exam papers. They're free.
The past papers?
Yeah.
Not the real one?
No, the past papers.
That'd be too good.
So you get an idea of the questions that were asked previously in those modules.
And those are now free for students, and
They're
you can
free.
just download them as a PDF. So it's quick and easy, and involves no felling of trees, so that's really good. Now, while we've got 70% of students doing business management, one of the societies that I think is worth mentioning is the Law Society.
Yes.
They do these fantastic moots.
They do. Mooting, if people don't know what mooting is, it's a pretend court case where the students, of course, take the characters of the barristers arguing for and against a case. It can be based on a real appeal court case, or it can be something quite frivolous. And there are mooting competitions nationally. The Law Society will, first of all, train you how to do moots, and then provide you with the opportunity of taking part in moots. And I would certainly recommend it for anybody thinking of going down the barrister route. It's not quite so relevant if you're thinking of the lawyer route.
Brilliant. Now, I'd like to finish by talking about tutorials in a number of different ways. We've heard that there are these online tutorials and also face-to-face tutorials. So I wonder if you can fill us in on those and how you've both experienced them.
So I've attended both face-to-face tutorials and online tutorials. The first one that I attended, I was very nervous. I thought I'm going to ask a silly question, or I'm not going to know what I'm doing there. But it was a very relaxed, friendly environment. Just take your first module book, take some stationery, and just take yourself there and just enjoy being a student. That was the best thing that I came out of my first tutorial, was that I felt that I was the same as everybody else. The tutor answered the questions that I thought were silly, that other students wanted the answers to as well. But it was a great experience. And if you can't attend the day schools or the tutorials, then there's online versions as well. And I found those very useful.
Yes, certainly when it comes to the face-to-face tutorials, or also called day schools, I think that was the one mode of learning that I got more out of than any other way of learning. They are absolutely brilliant. They are quite difficult to get to. I had to travel over 60 miles to get to them, but I thought it was worth every single mile. But then there's the online tutorials, and what I would say there is you can get more out of it if you actually will participate. There are a lot of people that are too nervous to speak at them, and it's well worth participating and getting a lot out of tutorials.
But the good thing is you've got the replacement. If you can't get to a face-to-face, you've got the online version, and like Matt says, just embrace it, just use the experience, take every part of the offering that's the OU give you in your modules and just go with it.
Brilliant. Victoria says she'd love to have these more often. Well, we do, not always in broadcast events. We have them in Adobe Connect at the Student Hub Live. So, Victoria, if you'd like to find out about our range of online workshops that you can book onto, then go to the Student Hub Live website and you'll see there's at least one a month. I think we're having a month off in December or something, but there's heaps that you can get involved with. So sign up for your place on the things that you find relevant. She also says that, by the way, we need a student bar as well, which I think is a very good point, and that's something you can do as well if you come to one of our workshops. So, by yourself at home, though. The final thing I wanted to ask about is we've had a lot of students talking about disabilities and various ways of seeking support with that. Steph, could you tell us about that? And in particular, it's worth a plug for the Disabled Students Group, which I know is very, very supportive.
Yeah, the Disabled Students Group are students with health issues that support other students with health issues. You can find them on the Students Association website, but they've also got a very big group on Facebook. There's also some private forums, and there's always someone around, even in the middle of the night. So if you just need someone to talk to, if you're concerned about anything in your studies, it's just a really good place to share how you're feeling and what you're doing. It's a brilliant environment. Also, the Disabled Students Group Committee will help signpost you to the right areas if you need extra support or help, peer support service, Nightline, all the extra things that you need. They're really good at signposting.
Brilliant. Well, it's all kicking off at home. Jessica's panicking because her cat's coming. It's going to distract her from her studies. And people are also worried about finding the study planner. Michelle, can you shed some light on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you go into your student homepage, you then go to your student module, click inside the student module, and there's a week-by-week plan. You can expand it. You can print it off. Absolutely, it's worth having explore. And Steph, Matt, I don't know whether you want to add anything about it, but I've printed all of mine off. I've put them up on my wall. I use that then to plan ahead for what's coming and to let my family know when no way am I available, and then other times when let's celebrate, we've just submitted a TMA.
You can also click so you can see all the weeks, and you can see how the modules split up, and you can plan ahead as well. But yeah, I'll just follow the planner.
Yes, but find it within your module site itself. So go into the module site and you'll be able to see week by week for your study plan.
Brilliant. Thank you for that. And I hear there's a lot of love for mooting. People like the word. Indy's going to name her firstborn child Moot. People are switching from business to law degrees because it sounds so much fun.
Switch from business to law. Law is business is just as fun as law.
Well, you're going to have to fight that out in the chat, Michelle. I had a go mooting, and even I, as a psychologist, loved it. It was so much fun. And I had a gown. I wasn't supposed to.
Can I do a plug for the Business Society?
Yeah, you can.
So the OU Business Associate Society activities out there as well. And we're looking for help on our committee and also to get our activity going. So you can find that on the Students' Association website as well.
Brilliant, thank you. And if you're interested in meeting and seeing some of the stuff that we've done before, actually, you can go to the Student Hub Live YouTube channel, where there's lots and lots of information about a whole host of things. But if you find out about the Open University Law Society there, you can see some of the sessions they've done introducing what they do, and also you can see our mock moot that we did here at the Student Hub Live a couple of years ago. So that's worth tuning into as well. Brilliant. Well, thank you so much. It's been a really packed session. We've covered an awful lot there. I think we've put a lot of people at ease, and there's some great opportunities. So most of the stuff that students can find about the association, they can look at on the website. You've also got activities lined up for freshers, which is happening right now. Final plug for that.
Yes, there's a student experience discussion going on tonight. I'm rushing from here straight into that. It's an Adobe Connect. If you look on the association website, on the events, it'll give you the link to go there, and you can talk about anything to do with your student journey.
And if you feel that you've missed most of freshers, because it's coming to an end this week, in November we're going to have a Student Voice week, which is a bit like a rerun of refreshers in case you missed things.
Brilliant, excellent. Well, Steph and Matt, thank you so much for coming along. We're going to take a short video break and hear what Catherine has to say about tutorials, and then we're back for our final session. Stay well, study well. See you in a minute.